My dear sisters, can I share something with you that could radically shift the way you protect your heart, your purpose, and your power? There are three sacred things, just three, that a wise woman must never reveal. Not to her closest friends, not even to her beloved family, and certainly not to the man she loves most. Why? Because the moment you expose them, you risk placing your greatest strength into the wrong hands. We live in a world where oversharing has become the norm, where vulnerability is paraded as virtue, where people shout their struggles into the void of social media, hoping for validation. But what if I told you, real strength doesn't shout? What if I told you true power whispers? And sometimes it says nothing at all. Stay with me, because by the end of this message, you'll understand not only what to guard, but why guarding it will preserve your purpose, protect your peace, and awaken a deeper sense of dignity and divine strength within you. Let's begin. Never reveal the depth of your pain. Your pain is sacred. Let me say that again. Your pain is sacred. It's not for casual conversation, not for gossip circles, and certainly not for those who pretend to care but secretly rejoice in your suffering. When a woman speaks of her wounds to the wrong ears, those words can be twisted, replayed, and used as weapons against her. Has that ever happened to you? You confide in someone, only for them to throw your own struggle back at you when you least expect it? That's because pain is powerful. It tells your story, and if you let the wrong person hold the pen, they might rewrite your narrative. There are some wounds, dear sister, that are meant to be healed in silence. There are battles designed to be fought not in front of an audience, but in the quiet place where only God sees and understands. Yes, there is a time for vulnerability, a time for honesty, but that time is sacred, and the people with whom you share it must be chosen carefully. Pain should never be paraded, because the moment you do, you give the world permission to define you by your scars. Instead, let your healing speak louder than your hurt. Let your silence testify to the strength you carry. The world doesn't need to know how deeply you've bled. It only needs to witness how beautifully you rise. Never reveal your plans. Too soon, imagine planting a seed in the ground. You water it, nourish it, protect it from the harshness of the elements. You don't pull it out every day to see if it's growing. Why? Because some things must develop in secret to grow strong. The same is true for your plans. Too often, women are eager to share their dreams. I'm starting a new business. I'm moving to a new city. God told me something big is coming. And while excitement is beautiful, premature exposure can be dangerous. Not everyone who hears your vision will cheer you on. Some will smile to your face, but silently hope for your failure. Others will discourage you, cast doubt, or even attempt to sabotage what you've just begun. There are spiritual forces and human ones that work against progress. And when you speak too soon, you invite resistance that you may not be ready to fight. A woman of wisdom guards her dreams like precious seeds. She plants them deep in the soil of faith and waters them with prayer, patience, and purpose. She waits, not in fear, but in wisdom, until the time is right for those plans to bloom. Remember, what grows in secret often bears the sweetest fruit. Never reveal the full depth of your love is beautiful, sacred, life-giving. But when love is poured out without wisdom, it can leave you empty, broken, and questioning your worth. There is a lie many women believe, that to love fully means to love without boundaries, to give all, to hold nothing back. But let me ask you, does a river give all its water away at once? Does the sun shine all its light in one instant? No. They move with rhythm, with discernment, with power. Love must be discerning. When a woman reveals the full depth of her love too soon, she becomes vulnerable to heartbreak, to manipulation, to deep and lasting regret. Love must be deep, yes, but it must also be wise. Not every heart is worthy of holding yours. You may feel everything intensely. You may long to express your affection, your loyalty, your passion. But remember, your love is a treasure, not a transaction. It's not something to be thrown at the feet of anyone who shows a little interest. Let your love be like a precious stone, seen by few, valued by the worthy, and hidden from those who only wish to take and never give. What you hide determines what you keep. If there's one thing I want you to carry with you today, it's this. What you choose to hide determines what you're able to keep. Hide your pain so the world doesn't define you by it. Hide your plans so they can grow without interference. Hide the depth of your love so it's given only to the deserving. This is not about fear. It's about wisdom. This is not about being closed off. It's about being guarded by grace. In a world that confuses exposure for empowerment, a woman of substance walks in mystery. And mystery is not weakness. It is the signature of royalty. The woman who protects her heart, her plans, and her love is the woman who walks in divine strength. She isn't easily shaken because her roots go deep. She isn't easily manipulated because her boundaries are firm. She isn't easily defined because her story is written in a language the world doesn't fully understand. Final word. Walk in wisdom, not just boldness. You, my dear sister, were not made to be scattered across the opinions of others. You were made to be whole, grounded, and discerning. There's a time to speak and a time to be silent. There's a time to share and a time to guard. There's a time to give and a time to wait. Walk in wisdom. Walk in strength. Walk knowing that the things you choose to guard today will protect your joy, your purpose, and your peace tomorrow. Not every truth is meant to be told. Not every emotion is meant to be shared. Not every plan is meant to be published. Some of your greatest strengths will never be seen. They'll be known only by God, felt only by you, and revealed only in their fruit. In the end, true power isn't in how loudly you speak, but in how wisely you guard. Previously, we talked about the quiet strength a woman carries when she chooses to guard her pain, her plans, and the depth of her love. Now, let's go even deeper, into the quiet, mysterious power that influence is truly built upon. Because sometimes, the less you reveal, the more powerful you become. There is a hidden key to influence, a secret known not by those who speak the loudest, but by those who speak the wisest. The less people know about you, the more they wonder. And the more they wonder, the more you shape their perception, without ever saying a word. Think about that for a moment. Mystery draws attention. It awakens curiosity. It invites imagination. Why do you think the most unforgettable figures in history weren't the ones who told all? They weren't the ones who poured every emotion into the public square. No. The most captivating people were often the quietest, the most intentional, the ones who spoke with purpose, chose their words with care, and left behind more questions than answers. This isn't deception, it's discretion. Discretion is knowing what to say, when to speak, and more importantly, what to keep to yourself. It's the wisdom of understanding that your life isn't a spectacle for the world to comment on, envy, or exploit. A woman who understands this walks in quiet power. She doesn't feel the need to explain herself to everyone she meets. She doesn't broadcast her insecurities, nor does she flaunt her victories. Instead, she allows her very presence to speak volumes. She enters a room without making an announcement, but you feel her confidence in the way she carries herself. There's no need for validation, because she embodies her worth. You see, those who lack wisdom chase after approval. They spill every thought, reveal every plan, and display every emotion like pages in an open book, hoping someone will read and applaud. But what they fail to realize is this: the more they reveal, the more they risk. Words once spoken cannot be unspoken. Secrets once shared cannot be returned. And trust, once broken, is not easily rebuilt. A wise woman guards her words because she understands a truth many ignore. Not everyone listening is on her side. Not every smile is sincere. Not every listening ear is safe. So she speaks less, listens more, and chooses her confidants with care. This isn't about being secretive for secrecy's sake. This is about protection. Protection of what you might ask, her peace, her dreams, her spirit. In a world that often seeks to drain, to delay, or to distort, she protects what matters most. People are drawn to what they can't fully figure out. They respect what they can't easily access. Think about it. Aren't the greatest treasures in life the ones hidden and guarded? Gold is buried, diamonds are locked away. Priceless paintings are placed behind glass. What is truly valuable is never left out in the open. So why should a woman who holds within her the richness of dreams, the beauty of emotion, and the strength of experience, why should she treat herself as anything less than a treasure? Her thoughts, her struggles, her victories, they aren't meant for public display. They are sacred, and like all sacred things, they must be handled with reverence and shared only with those who have proven themselves trustworthy. There is also great power in being unpredictable. When a woman doesn't reveal everything she knows, or everything she feels, or what she plans to do next, she maintains an upper hand. The moment people think they've figured her out, she becomes easier to control. But when she holds back, when she pauses instead of reacting, smiles instead of explaining, she keeps them guessing. And in that uncertainty lies influence. Again, this isn't manipulation, it's wisdom. It's a form of spiritual and emotional intelligence, because let's be honest, the world isn't always kind, and not everyone deserves access to the sacred places of her heart. A woman's heart, oh, it's not just a beating organ, it's a vast, intricate world of dreams, feelings, and sacred memories. It is a sanctuary, and sanctuaries are not meant to be trampled by those who don't know how to kneel. There are chambers in her heart that should remain private, reserved not out of fear, but out of reverence. There is strength in that privacy. There is clarity. There is peace. Because when a woman understands the value of her mystery, she no longer feels pressure to over-explain, to overshare, or to be understood by all. She understands this simple, powerful truth. Not everyone deserves a map to her soul. As we've seen, mystery is not weakness, it's wisdom. When a woman chooses to guard her heart and her truth, she doesn't shrink back. She rises with grace, strength, and a quiet kind of authority. And now we turn to something even deeper, the sacred responsibility of protecting what is most vulnerable within us. A woman's heart should be guarded like a sacred temple, because not everyone who enters does so with good intentions. The world may tell her otherwise. It encourages her to open up, to pour out her soul without hesitation, as if vulnerability alone is a badge of strength. But true wisdom whispers a different truth. Strength is not shown by how much we expose. Real strength is measured by how carefully we guard the most delicate parts of our soul. Not everyone deserves access to a woman's pain, not because her pain isn't real or her feelings invalid, but because not everyone will hold that pain with compassion. Some will pretend to care, but listen only to judge, to gossip, or worse, to store away her sorrow and use it as a weapon later. That is why a wise woman learns. Some wounds are not meant for the world. Some aches are meant to be whispered only in prayer, placed into the hands of God, not into the mouths of people. Because once spoken to the wrong ears, even the deepest, most sacred wounds can be torn open again by the very ones she trusted, and so she guards her heart, not out of coldness, but out of wisdom. Her heart is not a public diary for anyone to flip through. It is a sacred scroll, filled with divine ink, meant only for those who have proven worthy of reading its pages. And just as pain must be protected, so must her dreams. Dreams are fragile, like tiny seeds buried in the soil of hope. If they're exposed too soon, they risk being trampled by feet that do not understand their value. Many beautiful dreams have died in their infancy, not because they were flawed, but because they were shared too freely, too early with people who didn't believe in them. The world is full of doubters masked as realists and critics cloaked in concern. They'll smile politely at a woman's vision, while secretly hoping she never rises higher than them. That's why a woman must learn to discern. Not every listening ear is safe. Not every kind word is sincere. The ones who truly support her won't need to shout their approval. They'll show it in quiet, steady action. And then there is love, the most sacred chamber of them all. A woman who gives away the full depth of her love too easily may find herself depleted, not because love isn't worth giving, but because she has poured herself into hearts that only take and never give back. Love is a gift, and like all true gifts, it should be offered with thoughtfulness, not thrown at the feet of those who don't know how to treasure it. True love doesn't rush. It reveals itself over time, proves itself through action, and grows stronger through discernment. A woman must never reveal the full extent of her devotion to someone who has not shown they are willing and able to carry the weight of it. This is not a game. It's not manipulation. It's self-respect. To love deeply is beautiful, but to love wisely, that is powerful. A woman's heart is a treasure chest. Inside it lies her faith, her tenderness, her loyalty, her fire. Not everyone deserves a key. Some things must remain hidden, not because they're unworthy of being seen, but because they're too precious to be mishandled. And trust, trust, is perhaps the most sacred of all the gifts a woman can give. Trust is beautiful, but it is also dangerous. It opens the doors to one's life, one's secrets, one's soul, and too often we place it into the hands of those who have not earned it. The world glorifies openness as a virtue, but wisdom teaches discernment. A woman who trusts too quickly, too easily, may find herself betrayed, disappointed, or left heartbroken by those who were never meant to carry her heart in the first place. She must learn, not every kind face deserves her faith. As we've already seen, trust is a sacred gift, a fragile bridge built with care and patience. And now we dive even deeper into how a wise woman learns to guard that trust, not out of fear, but out of reverence for her own worth. Trust is not something to be scattered recklessly, like seeds thrown into the wind. It is something to be planted carefully, in soil that has been tested, proven, and shown to nurture rather than destroy. Because the harsh truth is, not everyone who smiles is a friend. And not everyone who listens does so with a pure heart. Some people enter a woman's life with hidden motives. They come not to build her up, but to observe, to collect her weaknesses like puzzle pieces, storing them for a time when they might need to use them against her. That's why a wise woman learns early. Trust is not measured by time, but by consistency. Just because someone has been present for years does not mean they have earned a backstage pass to her soul. Longevity does not equal loyalty, and familiarity does not equal faithfulness. A person can say they love her, but will they protect her heart when it's most fragile? Trust must be built on action, on consistent patterns of respect, reliability, and care. Not on empty words, not on mere time spent. A woman should never feel obligated to share everything with everyone. There are parts of her journey, chapters of pain, pages of dreams, even entire seasons of growth, that are meant to remain private. The world does not need to hear every thought that passes through her mind, or every plan that stirs in her heart. She must pause and ask herself honestly, is this person truly worthy of what I'm about to share? Am I trusting them from a place of discernment, or from habit, loneliness, or guilt? Too often, trust is handed out like a favor rather than earned like a privilege. And many women extend it not because the other person has proven themselves, but because they feel guilty for holding back. But withholding isn't selfish, it's wise, especially in times of pain when emotions run deep and clarity becomes cloudy. In those moments, the heart aches for comfort, and it can be tempting to reach for the nearest ear willing to listen. But pain can blind judgment, and when confessions fall into the wrong hands, they can be twisted, used not for healing, but for harm, to manipulate, to control, to gossip. A woman must learn to pause before she speaks, to pray before she reveals, to discern before she trusts. If someone cannot be trusted with the small things, why give them more? If they've betrayed another, what assurance does she have that they won't do the same to her? Even in love, perhaps especially in love, trust should not be given blindly. Love is not proven by how quickly or deeply one reveals their soul. Love is proven in how gently we protect each other's hearts. A woman must be sure that the one who desires her is also someone who will guard her, that they will handle her truth not with carelessness, but with honor. Because trust isn't about intensity, it's about integrity. It is not built in a single moment, but tested over time, through trials, through seasons, through change. A woman who understands the limits of trust also understands the power of her worth. She knows that her trust is not a birthright others can demand. It is a gift, a precious, irreplaceable offering, and only those who have earned it through loyalty, respect, and consistency should be allowed to carry it. And then there are her words. Words have the power to heal or to wound, to build or to break down. A single sentence can open a door, or close one forever. A woman who truly understands the weight of her words knows not everything that can be said should be said. The world may encourage her to speak her truth at all times, to voice every feeling, every opinion without filter. But wisdom says otherwise. Sometimes silence is stronger than speech. Some thoughts are better kept to herself. Some emotions better prayed over than proclaimed. Because once spoken, words cannot be taken back. They hang in the air, linger in memories, and can shape reputations, change relationships, even alter the course of one's destiny. A wise woman does not speak just to be heard. She speaks to bring light, to uplift, to protect. And when the moment calls for it, she chooses silence, not as retreat, but as strategy. After all, a woman who guards her trust must also guard her tongue, because what she says and doesn't say can shape not only how others see her, but how she sees herself. Not every thought needs to be voiced, and not every truth needs to be shared with the world. One of the greatest mistakes a woman can make is speaking in the heat of emotion, whether that emotion is anger, frustration, or even excitement. Words spoken in emotional highs and lows often bypass wisdom. They may feel necessary in the moment, but all too often they leave behind regret. How many relationships have been fractured by words that were never meant to be spoken? How many opportunities have slipped through her fingers simply because something private was said out loud? A woman who learns to control her tongue learns to control her future. She does not speak just to fill empty air. She does not feel compelled to explain herself to every curious voice or prove her worth to every questioning eye. She understands that not everyone who hears her deserves her words. She keeps her plans to herself until they are strong enough to stand. She holds her dreams quietly, letting them grow roots in silence, rather than exposing them too soon to people who may not understand or support them. And above all, she does not let her emotions take the driver's seat in her speech. Instead, she pauses, she reflects, she breathes, and then she speaks with thoughtfulness, choosing each word with care, like a sculptor carving meaning out of silence. There are also things a woman should never say, not because they are lies, but because they do not serve her. Well, she should never speak poorly of herself. Her words have power. When she repeatedly tells herself she's not good enough, not beautiful enough, not strong enough. Those declarations don't just disappear. They settle deep in her spirit. They shape her inner world. They grow roots, and over time, they can become her reality. If her inner voice becomes her harshest critic, how can she ever walk in confidence? Likewise, she must be mindful not to speak against others carelessly. What she says about others reveals far more about her than it does about them. Gossip, criticism, and negativity might feel small or even justified in the moment, but they always leave a mark, not on the one being spoken about, but on the speaker. A wise woman does not waste her breath on words that don't build, bless, or heal. Then there are secrets, and a wise woman must know which ones to keep. Not every detail of her life belongs in public conversation. There are certain battles she must fight behind closed doors, quiet struggles that she shares only with God, private victories that do not need applause to be meaningful. There is pain that must be healed in the privacy of her own journey, not put on display for everyone to dissect, debate, or offer opinions about, because when she speaks too much, she gives others tools that can one day be used against her. When she reveals too much, she opens the door for interference, criticism, and confusion. A woman who knows how to guard her words guards her peace. There is a quiet power in restraint. There is dignity in silence. A woman who learns to master her speech walks with a sense of mystery and strength that cannot be easily shaken. Her words are not scattered like leaves in the wind. They are planted like seeds, with purpose and direction. The world pays attention to people who speak with weight, not those who speak without thought. A wise woman doesn't just speak. She speaks with clarity, intention, and an understanding that her words are a direct reflection of her inner strength. Silence is often misunderstood. In today's world, people often confuse silence with weakness, as if a woman who chooses not to respond, who doesn't argue back, who doesn't explain herself, is somehow lacking power, but the opposite is true. Silence is one of the greatest strengths a woman can possess. In a culture that demands instant reactions, constant updates, and unfiltered emotions, the ability to remain still, to hold one's tongue, is a sign of deep discipline, confidence, and wisdom. A woman who has mastered the art of silence is not controlled by the chaos around her. She doesn't let the world drag her into every conflict or bait her into speaking just to prove a point. Her calm is not weakness. It's composure. Her quiet is not retreat. It's strategy. And her restraint is not fear. It's wisdom wrapped in strength. She doesn't let noise lead her. She doesn't let pressure push her. And most of all, she doesn't let others dictate the rhythm of her voice. A woman who has mastered the power of silence is not easily swayed. She doesn't run in every direction, chasing arguments, or defending herself against every whisper. She doesn't waste her precious energy on meaningless debates, and she certainly doesn't let others decide when, how, or if she should respond. She knows that silence, when used with wisdom, can be more powerful than 1,000 well-crafted words. There are moments in life when silence is not weakness, but strength in its purest form. When someone speaks in anger, silence refuses to add fuel to the fire. When rumors swirl and stories spin, silence denies them the validation they crave. When provoked, silence quietly removes the satisfaction from those who want a reaction. A woman who understands this doesn't feel obligated to explain herself to people who have already made up their minds. She doesn't chase the approval of those who are determined not to understand her. She doesn't throw herself into battles that do nothing but drain her soul. Instead, she speaks when she must, and remains silent when her peace matters more than being heard. Silence becomes her shield. It guards her thoughts, her plans, her intentions. Because a woman who does not reveal everything she knows, everything she feels, or everything she hopes for, keeps control over her own life. The world is quick to twist words, to turn shared confessions into vulnerabilities, to take sacred things and make them common. But when a woman speaks less, she gives fewer openings for manipulation. She is not obligated to share every hardship she faces. She is not required to announce every success. There are some things that thrive best in the quiet, some seeds that grow deeper when planted in privacy, some moments that are too precious for public display. There is also great power in the silence of observation. A woman who listens more than she speaks can see what others miss. She watches the subtle. She picks up on the small things, the way someone's words don't quite match their actions, the way a promise comes with hesitation, the way a smile doesn't reach the eyes. While others talk, she notices. While others react, she reflects, and because of this, her decisions are not impulsive. They are wise, deliberate, and aligned with truth. Silence gives her space to breathe before responding, to weigh her words before releasing them, to choose her direction with clarity instead of chaos. And perhaps most importantly, silence brings peace. When a woman is not constantly explaining herself, not defending every decision, not trying to prove her worth to the world, she is free. Free from the noise, free from the drama, free from the exhausting chase for approval. Her energy is no longer scattered. It's focused on what truly matters: her growth, her healing, her purpose. The strongest women are not always the loudest in the room. Often they are the ones who walk with quiet confidence, who speak with intention, and who know the weight of their silence. A woman's peace, her plans, and even her pain, they are not meant for public consumption. In a world that pressures her to bear it all, to be constantly transparent, to seek validation from likes, comments, and applause, wisdom whispers something different. It tells her, you don't have to share everything to be whole. You don't have to be understood by all to walk in purpose. True wisdom lies in knowing what to protect. The art of preservation is not rooted in fear. It's rooted in reverence for the sacred parts of her soul. Because not everyone deserves access to what is most precious. A wise woman understands this profound truth. Not everyone she meets will treasure what she shares. Not every heart is worthy of access to hers. And so, she becomes the guardian of her peace. Because peace, more than gold or status, is one of her most precious possessions. Life will always present people, situations, and distractions that seek to pull her off course. Drama that demands her attention, conflicts that bait her into reaction, negativity that clouds her joy. But a woman who understands the art of preservation does not entertain every storm that comes knocking. She doesn't argue to prove a point or respond to every insult hurled in her direction. She chooses her battles with precision and refuses to let the noise of the world rob her of the calm she fought so hard to build. Protecting her peace means knowing when to walk away, when to disengage, when to quietly exit a room where her soul no longer feels safe. It means understanding that silence can be louder than shouting, and that sometimes the most powerful move is no move at all. Her plans, too, are sacred. A woman who proclaims every step before she takes it unknowingly invites confusion, envy, and unnecessary resistance. Because not everyone who smiles at her is truly rooting for her. Some simply want front row seats to her failure. Some come close just to gather information, to doubt, to discourage, or to derail her. Dreams are delicate. When exposed too early, they can be crushed by careless words and subtle sabotage. That's why a wise woman moves in silence. She lets her progress speak. She allows her harvest to do the talking, not the seeds she planted in secret. She knows that not every friend is loyal, and not every congratulations is sincere. So she guards her visions until they are strong enough to face the wind, until they can stand tall without toppling from the weight of external opinion. And then there is her pain, a sacred, deeply personal part of her journey. We live in a world that pushes for exposure, that praises transparency, that tells women to share everything, all the time. But she knows, not every wound belongs on display. Not every scar is meant to be shown. Some hurts are better healed in stillness. Some battles are meant to be fought in solitude, with resilience, with faith, and with a quiet inner strength that does not seek applause. Because pain, when shared with the wrong people, can become ammunition. Today, they may offer sympathy, but tomorrow, they may weaponize her vulnerability. A woman of wisdom doesn't expose her heart to those who haven't earned the right to hold it gently. She does not speak of her suffering for attention. She heals privately, deeply, and with intention. She understands that true strength is not always loud. Sometimes it is the ability to whisper, "I'm healing," when no one is watching. This is the heart of preservation. It is not rooted in selfishness. It is built on discernment. A woman who has mastered it walks with grace and grounded confidence. She gives nothing to those who haven't earned it. She doesn't pour her energy into empty cups. She doesn't chase validation or beg to be seen. And because of that, she is unshakable. She is unstoppable. She lives from a place of alignment, not reaction. Her power does not come from how much she reveals, but in what she chooses to keep sacred. In a world that demands constant sharing, a wise woman understands the beauty of mystery, the might of silence, and the necessity of keeping certain parts of herself hidden, safe, and whole. Her heart, her hopes, her healing, these are not for public consumption. They are treasures, and she is the keeper of the vault. Her struggles, these are not for the careless hands of the world to toy with. They are treasures, fragile and sacred, meant to be guarded with wisdom, nurtured in the quiet chambers of her soul. And they are only to be shared with those who have proven themselves worthy of such trust. She must recognize this truth. Not everyone who listens has pure intentions. Not every ear that hears her words will shield them with care. Not every heart she entrusts her truth to will keep its promises. By mastering the art of discretion, she gains control over her life, her emotions, and her destiny. She learns that silence, often louder than speech, holds a strength that words cannot capture. Trust is not freely given, it is earned. And true power lies not in what is seen, but in what remains unseen. A woman who understands this does not live for the approval of the crowd. She does not seek validation from those who have no genuine interest in her well-being. She walks through life in quiet confidence, knowing that her peace is far too precious to be disturbed. Her dreams, they are like stars in the night sky, too bright and too delicate to be exposed to the harsh winds of doubt and negativity. Her struggles, too sacred to be shared with those who have not earned the privilege of bearing witness to them. She is not weak for choosing silence. She is wise. She is not cold for guarding her heart. She is strong, with a strength that cannot be measured by outward appearances, but by the quiet dignity in which she holds herself. So, to every woman listening, protect your peace. It is your greatest gift. Guard your dreams, for they are your legacy. Hold your heart close, and only share it with those who honor it. Speak when necessary, but remember, sometimes silence speaks louder than words ever could. Move through life with wisdom, with purpose, and with grace. And never forget, the most powerful things about you are the ones the world will never fully see. The depth of your soul, the quiet strength of your heart, and the unshakable foundation upon which you stand.